Through a series of dangerous moves, Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi is evoking the specter of militarism, a ghost that haunted in Asia and beyond 80 years ago, and one that the world swore never to let return. Let's tear off the mask of Japan's latest deception, its brazen plan to resurrect the blood-stained military ranks of the Imperial Japanese Army.
They include Daisa or colonel, Chusa or lieutenant colonel, and Shosa or major. This is no trivial name change. It is a deliberate salute to war criminals and a declaration of Japan's reckless march towards remilitarization.
Let's be clear, these are not just outdated titles. Japan's Ministry of Defense isn't just updating terminologies. It's digging a tombstone of its imperial past to adorn its modern military.
The current first Sano becomes Daisa, first I reverts to Tai or captain, and even service branches get a fascist facelift. Futsuka or general service becomes Hoheika or infantry. Toka or special service turns into Hoyoka or artillery. Every one of these names reeks of the bayonets that pierced Nanjing's streets, the incendiary bombs that burned North China's villages, and the lab coats that experimented on living humans in Unit 731.
The Japanese government's excuses are laughable, if not criminal.
One day it whines that the public does not understand current ranks. The next it claims it needs to align with the US and NATO. But this is a barefaced lie. Japan's self-defense force ranks have long been fully compatible with Western military terminology. The only barrier here is Japan's refusal to confront its blood-soaked history of aggression. These ranks, used by the Imperial Japanese Army from 1871 to 1945, were not just a part of a military hierarchy, they were badges of mass murder worn by those who turned genocide into a bureaucratic process.
Let me name a few and spell out the horrors that these ranks represent.
Takaishi Takamori held the rank of Daisa and served as the commander of the 145th Infantry Regiment of Japan's 6th Division, one of the core perpetrators of the massacre. On the day he arrived in Nanjing, he issued a secret order of 3 days of free action to connive his subordinates to commit atrocities. His soldiers herded over 300 civilians to the city wall, machine-gunned them, and stabbed them to death. Women were abducted to the regiment headquarters and gang-raped. And those who resisted were directly beheaded and displayed. Takamori was far from alone in his brutality. Other senior Japanese commanders like Kisago Nakajima and Iwai Matsu, and officers of all ranks colluded and led their troops to unleash a reign of terror on Nanjing. Together, they oversaw the slaughter of over 300,000 Chinese civilians, the systematic rape of tens of thousands of women, and the burning of more than 1/3 of the city's buildings, reducing the entire neighborhoods to ashes. These butchers, whose hands were drenched in the blood of Nanjing's compatriots, wielded the power bestowed by the military ranks to turn the city into a living hell on earth. From high-ranking generals to junior lieutenants, the imperial rank system was a chain of crime. Hideki Tojo, who rose to general and served as Japan's prime minister, authorized the attack on Pearl Harbor and oversaw countless atrocities. He was eventually hanged for crimes against humanity. Even low-ranking officers like Toshiaki Munkai and Tsuyoshi Noda, both holding the rank of Tai, they infamously staged a contest to kill 100 people with their swords during the march to Nanjing. This sickening competition was even shamelessly glorified in Japanese newspapers at the time, which proudly reported that Munkai had slaughtered 106 unarmed civilians, while Noda had killed 105, framing the massacre of innocent as a triumph in military to boost the morale of Japanese troops. In Unit 731, Shosa Tomio Karasawa was even more stained with the blood of human experiments. From 1942 to 1945, he held the rank of Shosa and served in Unit 731, leading the development of biological weapons and live experiments. He personally designed the frostbite experiment, soaking Chinese prisoners' hands in ice until their limbs stiffened, then hitting them with iron bars to observe the process of tissue necrosis. He also forced victims to be infected with plague and cholera. and performed vivisections without anesthesia to record virus spread data. Eventually, stricken by remorse, he chose to commit suicide, and as an insider, he exposed the numerous heinous crimes committed by Unit 731 in China. Then, the notorious 3R policy, namely kill all, burn all, and loot all in North China, where Chusa and Daisa commanders became architects of annihilation. These men, mid-level officers with the very ranks Japan now wants to revive, led mopping-up operations that burned 1 million villagers to the ground, killed 2.7 million Chinese civilians, and left 10 million homeless.
For China and other nations assaulted by Japan, these ranks are not just words, they're open wounds.
As Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning put it bluntly, Japan's right-wing forces are breaking free from a pacifist constitution and plunging further down the path of military expansion. This is not an overstatement, it is a fact. After Japan's defeat in 1945, these ranks were abolished for a reason, to sever ties with its fascist past. Now, Takeichi's government is trampling on that belated atonement.
This rank revival isn't an accident. It is a latest step in Japan's decades-long campaign to rewrite history. Year after year, it hikes its defense budget to record highs. It tears down restrictions on weapons exports, turning itself into an arms dealer. It dreams of offensive missiles and plots to scrap the 3 non-nuclear principles. It lifts bans on collective self-defense, turning its self-defense force into an offensive army. Now it wants to wear the ranks of its war criminals like a badge of honor, all to pave the way for amending its constitution and becoming a normal military power.
日本要在亚洲军事化，这对其他的国家来讲都是太危险的事情。
Massaker, die jetzt Japan nicht nur in China, sondern beispielsweise auch in Korea angerichtet hat. Und wenn die wieder hochkommen sollten, also dieses Kriegervolk Japan, dann könnte das nicht nur über China, sondern über die gesamte Region.
Even some Japanese citizens are appalled, saying that dangerous moves will push Japan to the brink of war. But Takeichi and her right-wing cronies don't care about public opinion. They care about pleasing the nationalistic voters who wants to restore Japan's glory by erasing its guilt.
History is the best sobering agent, and Japan is drunk on its own lies. Mao Ning warns that forgetting the danger of war leads to peril, and warmongering leads to ruin. And Japan is sprinting towards that ruin. Reviving these military ranks isn't just an insult to the victims of the Nanjing Massacre, Unit 731, and the 3R policy. It is a threat to every country that values peace. We haven't forgotten the sound of the Imperial Japanese Army boots, and we will not stand by as Japan polishes those boots for a new generation.